Hey guys, welcome to today's video. We're going to be doing my December wrap up. I think I have about like 9 or 10 books that I finished in December. December was a very crazy month. Obviously, there's a lot of holidays in December, so that is always crazy. And also, we got hit by the flu, so the whole house was really sick and I didn't read a lot. So I feel like my number's a little low, but that's okay. You know, the new year's coming and that's always fun for me is the new year. So let me just jump in and tell you what I read. So first we have You Better Watch Out by James S. Murray. So this one is a Christmas thriller. I really like this one. If you guys watched my Christmas vlog, you'll see more of my thoughts. I gave it a 4. It's kind of like a crazy, outrageous thriller where this guy wakes up like in an abandoned town with other people, and then they're kind of being like hunted. And it's kind of outrageous, kind of silly, but it was like a slasher movie, and I really did enjoy that. And I did wish it was just a little more Christmassy, but overall, it was a fun time, and it's pretty much what I expected, so that's why I got a 4. Next, we have a short story, The Answer Is No by Fredrik Backman. Now, he's one of my favorite authors, so I did enjoy this one quite a bit. We have a young man who he thinks he has his whole life figured out, basically, where he stays in his apartment. He tries to, like, not talk to as many people as possible, and he's, like, content just being alone. And then all of a sudden, this garbage pile shows up and things go a little crazy. And so I gave this one a 4 also. I really like this author. I like how he tells stories. I like how he writes. And this one, there's some humor. There's some heartfelt moments. I do wish it was a bit longer and more built up. But considering it was a short story, I had a good time reading it. Next, Everyone This Christmas Has a Secret. Now, this is part of the Ernie Cunningham series, or Ernest Cunningham, which is like one of my favorite series. We have a guy who's kind of like a detective, like he doesn't work for the police, but he's like a private detective. I think it's in Australia. And this one, he goes to like a magic show to try and find a killer. Lots of fun twists. This one, there's a lot of humor. And the narrator talks to the audience, which I really love. And so it's kind of like breaks the fourth wall, if that makes sense. And so I had a good time. This is another 4-star. I do wish, again, it was a little more Christmassy. And it did feel a little slow at parts. But overall, like, I did have a fun time reading it. We have our last Christmas one, The Christmas Cookie Wars by Eliza Evans. This one is a romance, which I don't read a lot of romance, but I did enjoy this one. We have another 4-star. I have a lot of 4 stars, I guess, this month, which is good. So we have this woman. She has twin boys. I think they're in like 5th grade. And she lost her husband a couple years ago, so she's a solo parent. She runs a boutique with her sister, and they live like in this small, idyllic, snowy Colorado town. It's around Christmas time, and there's this whole big cookie bake-off thing that the town does every year. There's some drama this year with another mom, and then she starts to kind of fall for the principal of her boys, and then things, you know, unfold. Just like, it's like very similar to like a Hallmark movie, but I had fun reading it. It was cute. The cover is super cute, and I would recommend it for people looking for a holiday romance. Next, we have Monster Tree by Sarah Allen. This one is a middle grade horror. We have a young boy who lost his dad, and then they moved to a new house, and then in the backyard is like this weird, creepy looking tree. And he makes some new friends, and then things start getting really weird. We have like creatures coming out of the tree. We have like the weird neighbor who's like actually owns the tree, or like the tree's in her yard. And there's lots of weird stuff going on in the town. And then it also kind of focuses on the kid's grief with losing his dad. And it kind of focuses on his new relationship with his mom after the dad passes and stuff. So this one I gave a 3 just because I don't think it was necessarily bad, but it just was a bit repetitive and like kind of boring in my opinion. I think a lot of kids will like it because of the monsters and stuff. That was like a fun aspect to it. But I just wasn't the biggest fan, unfortunately. Next we have another Goosebumps, Be Careful What You Wish For by R.L. Stine. So I love Goosebumps. This one I listened to on audio, which they're like super short audiobooks, so I can get through them really quickly. And I liked it, of course. I love every Goosebumps, basically. I don't really rate these, I guess. I usually just kind of give them all 5 stars because I just love Goosebumps so much. But this one, we follow a girl. She is very clumsy. She kind of gets made fun of at school. There's like kind of a mean girl that makes fun of her. And then she meets like this mysterious woman in the woods who tells her like she has 3 wishes. But when she starts doing wishes, things like her wording has to be like exactly right, so like things start actually spiraling. And then at the end, there's a big twist, like Goosebumps, there pretty much always is. But I liked it. It's fun. It's short. I would definitely recommend to people if you like Goosebumps or if your kid is looking for something, some horror to read. Next we have We Solve Murders by Richard Osman. And I love this book. I'm giving it 5 stars. I'm a big Richard Osman fan. I loved the Thursday Murder Club series, just like most people do. This one we follow a woman and her father-in-law, and the woman is like she's a security guard, and then she's like kind of being hunted now. There's a money laundering situation, and then so the father-in-law is a retired cop, and then there's also like this older famous author that's with them. And so together they kind of have to figure out who's coming after her, and they get into some funny situations. Richard Osman has a really good way of like writing characters, and you love the characters in the book. There's lots of humor. It's just a really fun read. I would definitely recommend to everybody. It was a bit different than I expected, actually. I didn't realize it was kind of like a on the hunt or book, you know what I mean? So I just thought they were like teaming up to solve murders, but it was actually more like a chase, like a cat and mouse chase situation. But there was still a lot of humor, a lot of like funny, ironic moments, and I would definitely recommend. And then we have James by Percival Everett. This one is a retelling of Huckleberry Finn, but from Jim's perspective. So if you guys aren't familiar with Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain, it's a classic. We have a young boy who's kind of following the Mississippi to escape his town, and then he teams up with a slave, like a runaway slave. And in this one, it's told from the point of view of the slave. So we kind of get his perspective. We learn a bit about kind of how it was being a slave back then. I'm giving this one 3.5 stars. I thought, like, objectively, it was a good book. The writing was very well done. I liked how we get, like, the moments of the slavery and how awful it is without, like, too much detail. Like, I don't want to read something that makes my stomach turn. And so, on the one hand, that has a lot of good aspects, but on the other hand, it's just not necessarily my cup of tea. It's not really a book that I would probably pick up, but I did read it for a challenge this month. And then I have 2 more that I'm hoping to finish by the end of the month. I'm just going to briefly mention them just to throw it out there. So we have Impossible Creatures by Catherine Rundle. This one is for my Barnes & Noble video that's hopefully coming out soon. This is the children's pick for the best book of the year by Barnes & Noble. So I'm hoping to get, I haven't started it yet. I think it's about some mystical creatures, like this faraway land, and very fantastical and fun, adventurous. Excuse me. And so Hopefully I can read that and finish that before the end of the year. And then on my Kindle, I'm reading Westfallen, which is also another middle grade. And this one, we have two groups of kids. I think they're like 12. We have one group from the 40s and then one group from 2023. They both have this radio, and then somehow they're able to talk to each other like through time. But then they realize, like, if they do little things to alter history, then it changes a lot. So, like, the butterfly effect. I'm about halfway through, and we just got to a point where they decided, like, they don't want to change anything anymore, so they got rid of the radio. But somehow getting rid of the radio has caused the Nazis to win the war. So now we're kind of in an alternate history where the Nazis have won World War II. And then we see America as like what would have happened if the Germans did win. So I think this book is very interesting because I don't feel like there's a lot of alternate history books, especially for this age range. And so I am enjoying it so far. But hopefully I'm about halfway through. So hopefully I'm going to try to finish that one today. So yeah, those are all the books I read, and then I have 2 more that hopefully I can get done before the end of the year. But thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comments some of your favorite reads from December, and I will see you in my next video.